You're listening to The KYLO Show, the podcast where we talk about how to keep your love on no matter what and why whole healthy families are going to save the world. In this week's episode, Danny and Brittany talk about if there really is such a thing as the one and how to really get to know someone before entering a covenant relationship. So cut the distractions and get ready because The KYLO Show starts right now.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the KYLO Show.
Back for more.
Yes, keep coming back. We are still in the land of dating and engagement.
Mm-hmm.
They have not done it yet. They haven't gotten married yet, it sounds
I
like.
know. It's taking forever.
No, they're taking their time.
They're
They're
smart.
investing in themselves, doing a good job.
So smart.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into a really great topic, I think.
Yeah.
It is needed for you to master this one.
It is.
I can say from doing a long distance relationship and having to develop this one,
Mm-hmm.
it's paid off.
Mm-hmm.
So nearly 18 years, this is worth the time to invest in your friendship as a foundation.
So smart.
Mm-hmm.
So smart. It's, if you catch fire, stop, drop, and roll, and build a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just take the time, pay attention. It's so crucial to your future that you really enjoy each other and not just super distracted by all the physical attraction.
Which I think can be a big distraction, especially with you get that excited, oh, this person's cute, they're interested in me, we go to the same church, same small group.
Mm-hmm.
All those things start to add up quickly to where you escalate faster than you want to, and then you miss some big steps that are really important for laying those.
You miss all those red flags.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how this usually goes.
Yeah.
Which, I love the paying attention. You want to choose that off ramp. Make sure if you're making the right, what is it? Siri, she's always giving you instructions on what to do, what not to do when you're driving.
Yes, you're.
It's just kind of like paying attention to those red flags of.
That's it. Rerouting.
Mm-hmm.
Rerouting.
Yes.
Yes.
So first thing on the list of kind of diving in of a covenant relationship is the spirit aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when you're approaching a potential serious relationship, you want to keep in mind that a healthy friendship with this person is spirit, soul, and body.
Mm.
You got can I build a lasting relationship with this person on those three levels? Because body is 30%, which is,
It feels much larger, I think.
I know, but it's a third.
Especially in the beginning. It feels really big in the beginning.
Yeah. But it is a distraction. That's why keeping things pure, then you really don't get as distracted about it. You really calm all that down and put it in perspective. Because on the other side of marriage, it can't be the thing. You don't spend most of your time in bed. You don't spend most of your time having sex, right?
I hate to break it to you,
but
it's very true.
It's not even 30%.
It's not even close. How many nights do you go to bed and it never even happened?
Yeah.
So it's not as big of a deal as you think it is in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a third. It is a valid, hefty 3%.
Yeah, key part of it, but definitely not what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it, spirit and soul, there's the big chunk of connection, lifetime, energy. That's where most of it is spent.
Which is why it's important to develop those muscles in the very beginning of this, because they're what are going to get you between the body. You need those things
in between the body contact.
Yeah.
Yes.
You need to have something
think about the spirit relationship and how do you cultivate that and what is that and I think it is really my agreement with you to foster, develop, grow spiritually together. And different people do go about that in different ways. I mean, some people are, wrapped up pretty tight in, I want a priest in my house and a prophet to our family, and I want you. And you're like, oh, that's good, and but you may not have that with this guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't want to be that. You're like, well, that's too bad. I want it, and I'm going to be miserable if he doesn't provide it. Like, oh boy. So that would be something to work out before.
That's good.
And maybe he's like, I want a flock. I want a flock. I want a wife who calls me Lord, and like Sarah did to Abraham. It's in the Bible. These are all things that you really need to work these out before you get on the other side of marriage, because these are deal breakers. These are heartbreakers. These are anxiety producers if you don't have some sort of reasonable expectation of each other spiritually.
Yeah, I've had quite a few meetings with different people that are on the other side of marriage, and they bring up the expectations that they had going in spiritually, or even building a family and what that would look like and what core values would be brought in. And this is that part where they didn't have these maybe uncomfortable conversations. Maybe they're just slightly difficult, but it feels like it should just be kind of the lineup of getting to know you conversations, and not be something that we're so afraid of to ask. Because on the other side of it, if you're married, it's going to be a lot harder. So being able to know that I can give into this person's life, encourage them, bring something. I mean, I look at Ben and I, and we're very different. So in the pursuing of somebody, I knew what my gifts were, and I knew where I needed help in. And so that's part of the pursuit of, is this a good fit?
And then the soul piece is really, EQ stuff. It's very much about building that intimate place where you can be seen, trust somebody with who you are, communicate through disconnection, disagreement, hurt. Just how do we cultivate our emotions? How do we manage our emotions? How do we deal with intense emotions with each other? Because for whatever reason, we tend to go find somebody who's the exact opposite of us, and we're like, hey,
do it like me.
Yeah, why did you stop talking? Because you scared me. Well, tell me about it. No. Well, why won't you talk to me? Because you keep talking. If you just give me a breath, give me some space. How much space and for how long? And let's just do it now. I work things out right away. Well, I don't. And all that is really soul development. Like, how are we going to learn to see each other and take care of what each other needs?
When you say soul, I really just keep thinking about the KYLO principles.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is where you get to insert and see how it applies to this relationship, is which we've referenced so many times, so I won't go into it. But it does feel like that's a great place to be reviewing the KYLO principles to see how they're measuring up, how it's actually showing up in your relationship. Is there any way that not being able to have the body part activated in dating, how do you still pursue something that feels romantic without going overboard? Because it feels like that's a struggle where we want to have deep conversations. Let's say that's going well, but how do you not overdo the body part as an adult?
Well, I think that there's a respect that, especially the men have to show respect for the woman's body as much as you do for the woman's heart and her for his. But physical boundaries and access and that sort of thing is is so much of it's wrapped up in my self-control. So much of it's wrapped up in me understanding what you need from me, and making those things clear with each other. Because, we'll be talking about love languages in a minute, but if I'm a physical touch person and you're not, and I am trying to get my needs met, then you feel assaulted, molested. You don't feel affection. You feel like, I'm a cat rubbing on you because I'm petting myself. I'm not tending to you. That cat is not being affectionate. That cat is petting itself, right? So when the person is trying to communicate the way they feel loved to another person physically, that feels disrespectful.
Yeah.
And one of the things that men have to understand is that women start out with a touch love language, and then it turns into acts of service.
It's true.
Yeah. So
100%.
they're like,
This is
later
proven.
you get married, like, where did it go? Hey, I thought you liked to cuddle. Yeah, but as soon as you pick up their socks and help with the dishes, I'll cuddle with you.
Ben says I tricked him all the time.
Yeah.
This
Where'd
is
it go?
good. What about? Oh, go ahead. I was just saying the spoof on like the one. There is this talk about the one too. How does that apply to going and pursuing and getting to know? We have had some questions before of I want to pursue these relationships, but I'm not sure when I should start or stop, or should I have multiple, or and we've talked through that a little bit. But there is this mindset sometimes that we're only going to find one that fits.
Yeah.
We're such a unique puzzle piece that God created that there's only one other option.
Yeah, and this is some of the fallacies that we create as individuals looking at our future, and that is, yep, there's only one. It's my job to search through the pile and find the one. Or it's God's job to lead the one to me and be so obvious that there's no way I could miss it. And that's not true. It's very much a choice. It's very much a selection. You have options. You can, it isn't like there's one shirt you can buy in all the world and you got to go find it. You're like,
It'll
well,
be
you like
flattering.
that one? Okay, then buy that one. I'm very active in the selection. It's not happening to me. And that's ownership, that's responsibility, that is decision, that's covenant. Because once I say yes, then I'm throwing everything I have at it. And that's me. That's not God making me do it, and it's not the other person making me do it. It's I choose you.
So in the I choose you, you probably start to create a soul tie with this person.
Yeah.
And that feels like a scary word sometimes. And is that soul ties, especially in the maybe building towards a relationship and having a foundation of friendship, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is there a good and a bad soul tie?
Absolutely. Soul ties are essential to healthy relationships, and that's why you want to be able to do that with your friends. Like, you want to have friends that you've developed soul ties with, and clearly you haven't had sex with all your friends. So soul ties are not, it doesn't. You don't have to have sex with somebody to have a soul tie. But typically, when you hear about unhealthy soul ties or breaking soul ties, it's people that you made mistakes with, and or you were in a marriage and you got a divorce, or you were molested by someone as a child, and so you're breaking these soul ties that happened in intimacy or physical sexual contact. You are on a mission to connect your heart with another person's heart in your friendships, in your family. Your brothers and sisters, your mom and dad, hopefully you have a soul tie with them. Hopefully there is a part of you that is absolutely melded to them. And so it generally is fashioned through the more time you spend with someone and the more vulnerability you spend with someone. This is the accelerator of a soul tie. So if it's a good friend that you went into the mission field with, and you had near-death experiences with this person, and you were persecuted, or you were starving, or you almost died in a camping trip with them, or whatever, you're like, we'll never forget this. This is a unique vulnerability we shared together. No one has this type of a connection with me that you do. And as soon as I say desert, you go, oh my gosh, totally. You're right there with me. And those are soul ties with people. You want to be able to, you want to have that skill and cultivate that in your friendships, so that when you do find somebody and you say, hey, I wonder if I can connect with this person's spirit, soul, and body, I'm attracted to them, our EQ matches up, and our spiritual desires and goals line up, can we build a soul tie? That's moving from dating into engagement is that sort of progression.
It feels like the runway for taking off of a plane or something is that, do I have all these checks and balances in, and
we're at the gate.
This is
now we're going to taxi.
Yeah, It does feel like that. I love the clarity in the pursuit of someone's heart to creating a healthy soul tie, and even that soul tie can be with family members and friends, and seeing what that's supposed to look like so it translates over here for a romantic relationship.
Yeah, and even you can be romantic and not sexual.
Yes, you can.
And it's super important to be able, especially men have got to learn to invest their emotions, invest their spiritual vulnerability with this person, and have it be non-sexual. Otherwise, you're using emotional manipulation to get sex.
I remember Ben doing that so often when we were dating, just how to be romantic without the sexual piece, because we were able to save ourselves for marriage. But it requires you to be creative, I feel like, in a way that you're not used to, or that, I don't know, it doesn't easily default out of you. Like, this is what I want to do, but I have to have respect and value for you to pursue you in a way that requires more.
Yeah, I remember in my dating with your mom, we both had a past of just lots of sexual partners. And so when we got together, it was our first year of being Christians, and we're trying to communicate that we like each other without crawling all over each other. And it was like the weirdest thing. Like, well, how do you know I really like you? I just tell you? This is weird. Usually how we do, we just make out and go, jump in a bed. So it was super confusing. How do I communicate that I am choosing you without physically coming at you? And we were clumsy.
Yeah. This is why it's so great to have community mentors to help give you suggestions.
Please do that.
And to lead you, and all those things which we've talked about so many times. But I love the foundation of friendship. That's great. And healthy soul ties.
Yes.
So go find those. Those are great. All right, we're going to jump into questions. We'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
Did you know that Loving on Purpose is a nonprofit organization? You can make a tax-deductible donation to help change lives and relationships around the world. To partner with Loving on Purpose, go to lovingonpurpose.com and click Give Now.
Okay, so we're going to take some questions.
Okay, here we go.
In case you don't know how to do that, you want to go to thekyloshow.com, and that is where you're going to give us your testimony and your questions. So please.
Please do that.
We love it. Okay, this first one is from Olivia.
Hi, Danny and Brittany. I don't have much of a relationship with my dad by my choice. For the last 5 years after my parents' divorce, I have been sifting through emotional wounds from my teenage years. I'm realizing that I have been putting up walls in my life and calling them boundaries in order to protect myself from further pain, damage in my relationship with him. I have tried to express to him how his actions impacted me, and he doesn't seem to realize that he has a mess to clean up. He defaults to saying things like, "I'm sorry you feel that way," and "I've just been walking with the Lord." I'm also realizing that I have partnered with the victim mentality, blaming him for my emotional pain and cycles that I can't seem to escape. I'm ready to make some changes in my life and become a powerful person. So my question is this: how do you move forward and establish boundaries and pursue connection when the other person doesn't seem to understand that they've made a mess and they don't desire to clean it up? What is my job?
That's one of the best questions that I've ever heard asked. She knew herself pretty well. There's some self-awareness going on there. And she can distinguish between a boundary and a wall and self-protection and hope for reconciliation. Yeah, I think that she probably needs to, in her conversation with her dad, ask, "Did you hear what I said?" Because when he says, "I'm sorry that you feel that way," it sounds like he's saying, "You have a problem."
Yeah.
And that just hurts like crazy.
Yep.
And she probably could play it back that way and say, "Dad, when you say it like that, it sounds like there's no acknowledgement on your side of this whole thing of what went down and how I experienced you." And if she could spin it into, "This is how I experienced you," instead of, "Here's what you did, you scumbag," that will help him
Yes.
go, "Wow, I never want you to ever experience me like that, and I'm sorry that you did." Believe it or not, that will actually help her feel like he heard.
Well, that's a great place to start. Do you think because this is obviously not a dating question, but it could impact some of her
Sure.
views of dating or what she brings into dating? Because, is that her mastering this and figuring out how to navigate her relationship with her dad? Is that a benefit to any potential romantic relationships?
Absolutely, because it will change the way that she shows up emotionally with the significant male in her life.
Okay.
And so the attempt with her dad, and it may fail miserably, it may. So she should bail after one good attempt at saying, "Here's my experience of you." And if he goes, "Too bad, so sad. I never made any mistakes as a father. I don't make any. I'm a Christian. I don't
Right,
make any
flawless.
mistakes." Yeah. If he does any of that stuff, then okay, you just learned that he cannot handle the level of intimate relationship you're hoping for. But you still developed your courage muscle enough to
Yeah.
put it out there, because that's what she takes into dating and eventually marriage.
That's great. I love that. I think it's a great question as well, and I agree with all of what you're saying. So no need to repeat.
No, there we go. We'll go on to the next
We will.
question. Yeah.
Okay, the next one that we have is from Kyle.
So I've heard from a few people, coworkers, and friendly acquaintances recently that I'm really difficult to get to know. And they gave me that feedback like it's something that I need to work on. Now, I don't think they're wrong about me being difficult to get to know, but I'm the type of person that needs a few close relationships, and I'm all good. But the more I've thought about this, I'm realizing that they're actually telling me it's hard to connect with me. Now, I treat these people well. We have solid relationships, and they're obviously comfortable enough around me to give me this pointed feedback. So I'm struggling with how to feel connected, how to have them feel connected to me. Now, this leads me to my question. How do I make people feel connected to me, even though I have no intention of creating a close relationship with that person? I always thought if I treated people well and had integrity in my dealings with them, that I'd be able to connect well with people. But I'm seeing that that's not always the case. So I'd be curious to get your feedback on how to solve this problem that's presented itself to me. So thank you.
I can empathize with him.
Yeah. Well, I think he almost answered his own question. I mean, he basically said, I don't have the goal of connection with very many people. But when I do, I nail it.
Yeah.
And so maybe what he would throw out there is, am I interested in other people? And I think that if he can, kind of turn that part on where he asks them about them. I mean, most people's favorite subject is themselves, right? So get them talking about themselves. And there will be places where he can identify with people, or he can get excited about what he's interested in that they're talking about. And that does feel like connection for most people, is you learned about me.
Yeah.
Now, when somebody starts probing him and trying to get to know him, then that might be where he says, I'm kind of a private person.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have some really close friends. And do you know what a relator is in Strength Finders?
Right.
And something like that. And that might be a way of setting a boundary for somebody, because most people, especially you're dealing with a relator, they don't understand what's required to enter that door, because that door has got a combination lock.
There's lots of vetting that's happening before you get to come
There's
in.
a combination lock on that door. So you're out there fiddling with the door, and they're watching you and shaking your head, and you're like, hey, hi. You want some cookies? Yeah. Would you unlock this door? No, you're going to
Through the mail slot.
You will have to figure that out, because once you get in here, the depth of relationship that I will give myself to is lifelong. So a lot of the Strength Finders relators, once you connect with them, or once you meet them, you think, I don't think they like me.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not that they don't like you, it's they have an enormous level of
Permission once it's given.
requirement. Trust. You have to be able to handle this much trust. And if you come in here, I'm just warning you, I don't know if you want to come in here, because what's in here is really, really costly.
Yeah. I think for him, I was just gauging, as a relator and understanding, I'm always trying to be kind and nice. I'm also a one, which means I have to do the right thing and the good thing. I mean, it's all in there. So I look at different relationships as, what capacity do I want to pursue and give, and can I give in this relationship? So a work relationship, it's different here. I feel like everyone here in Lop World is family. They really are. So it's not like just a random coworker I see every now and then when I go to the kitchen that lives in a cubicle right there. But exactly what you're saying, asking questions, finding what you're interested. Maybe you notice that they have lots of, Star Wars memorabilia on their desk or something, or lots of plants. You can strike up a conversation about that, or say you saw a sale at the local grocery store. I mean, it's little places right there that are leaning in, that show interest. If it feels like it's something that you need to grow in, I think the love languages is a really great place to start paying attention to, because that's where people often feel connected, is when they feel pursued and loved. So if this is a words of affirmation person and they're just constantly talking, encouraging, maybe that's what they're looking from you, is just hey, you did a great job on that project. And that might be all that's needed. Or, a pat on the back if they're a touch guy. I don't know what appropriate office touching looks like. High five, fist bump, something like that. Maybe a gift, is just the, again, interest of the plants. You found one on the side of the road and you brought it. I don't know. But I would have to figure out the category that they need to be in, and what pursuit you should be giving, and what you're comfortable with. And if you want to make adjustments or not.
And I think that in his goal of connection or not, he needs to go from on-off switch, like yes, no, to a dimmer switch, which is kind of like, I'll take you to a 3.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take you to a 3, and, but 4, 5, and 6, that's okay.
We start to cross a moat.
Yeah. And then, 7, 8, 9, okay. We're soul tie.
Yep. Pretty much. But it's a good question.
Yeah,
Thanks, Kyle.
great question.
All right, Jennifer, that's who we have next.
Hi, Danny and Brittany. Thank you so much for doing the KYLO show. I appreciate you guys focusing on singleness, dating, and the engagement season of life. My question is, what are some obvious red flags that come up in dating, and how should you deal with them?
Well, if you feel anxious, about being with this person, around this person, maybe you feel anxious going into it, but being around them and or being around them again, that would be listen to yourself. What is that?
Yeah.
I think pressure. The person is more interested in you being them than they are in you being you. Because in a dating relationship, they're on their best behavior.
Yeah.
So this only get way worse. This isn't going to just get a little worse. This can get way worse.
Yep. I think of if I'm having fun and enjoying this time together.
Absolutely.
If it feels like work, if it feels like we're navigating lots of tension and not that it's going to be all perfect all the time, but if that's majority of your time together, I would say that's an interesting thing to look at. Because again, when you get married, it's just going to get way more intense. You have so much time with this person all the time. And then all those things drive you crazy that didn't drive you crazy before because you didn't know.
It is so important to enjoy the person that you're with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like number one.
We're moving that to the front of the line.
Yeah. It's number one is enjoy your time with this person. Long for more time with them.
Yeah.
And
excited about the next encounter, next coffee date, or next hiking adventure. There should be this draw.
yeah. And are they enjoying their time with you?
Yeah. Another one I've always valued for my friends that are in this season, or even Ben and I, was getting feedback from really key relationships that are in my life, from you guys to other friends that I trust and I value, not to have jealousy going on, but to take a gauge of those friendships, watching you interact with this person. Are you disappearing to someone else? Are you changing and adjusting in a negative way? Is the behavior that's coming from this person disrespectful in any way? To be able to look at your closest community before this person ever entered it and say, what do you think? How am I with this person? Is it a benefit or is it something that's scary?
Totally. And those are the people that are going to watch you sell your soul for this relationship before you ever catch it yourself.
Yes.
And by that I mean that you need something so desperate from having a relationship that you will sell yourself to get it. And that's going to scare your friends. That's going to scare the people that love you the most as they go, what are you doing? You're like, what? It's none of your business. Like, okay,
You're just
now
jealous.
you're losing the benefit of having good friends by not listening.
Yeah.
But by then, if you're selling your soul to keep this relationship, one of the things you're willing to sell are your friends.
And then it's usually your body, it feels like.
Oh, yeah.
It goes.
If it hasn't already happened, it's on its way.
Yeah. So those are our top four or five. I can't remember how many we gave, but another good question. Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to move into our testimony spot.
Okay.
At Loving on Purpose, we believe that whole, healthy families are going to change the world. And if you believe that too, make a reoccurring donation to Loving on Purpose. To give a gift of any amount, go to lovingonpurpose.com and click Give Now.
Okay, so we're going to jump into the testimony,
Love
which
it.
today's testimony comes from Julie.
Very good.
No matter what you do in life, you have to deal with humans. And I've found that KYLO has been a really helpful resource in knowing how to steward different relationships with different people in my personal life and also in my business life. As a professional, I've found that I have the tools that I've learned from the different classes in Life Academy and from Keep Your Love On and podcast and all of the Loving on Purpose material has been invaluable to the way that I handle different situations. And I find that the more that I glean from the information, the more it becomes part of me, and the more it becomes part of me, the more it comes natural for me to put those tools into practice. It's not easy, and it's not as simple as we'd like it to be, because humans are complicated and we're not simple. But the more that I choose to look inside and see what's going on with me and choose to have the goal of connection be important in relationships, the more that I can communicate that to the people around me and invite them into a relationship where we have a healthy exchange of life and trust as a result. And so I'm super thankful for all that the Silks and the Circles and KYLO has given to me.
Julie. Love Julie.
She's been around our world for a while.
She has been with us for a very long time. Not a lot of people know that, but she helped establish the foundational work of Keep Your Love On. She was the first person that I interacted with on getting that bad boy written.
That was a long time ago.
That was 2010 probably.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I love her talking about just that she's mastering it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and she is too.
And she's
a
taking
student.
these tools and really challenging herself in all different ways. I know that she's doing the facilitator stuff right now.
She is.
And rocking it, it sounds like.
She's a leader amongst us
It's great.
in facilitating, yeah.
But it's really fun to hear the desire, the value, and then the pursuit of the material to really become second nature. And you know, like she said, people are complicated and messy.
Yeah, you know, and Julie is a high D, intense communicator. You know, she is like, there's a lot of stuff that's really serious to her, and so that puts her in a situation where she's an amazing problem solver, and at the same time, she's very direct and very clear about what she thinks. So people are a little
Intimidated.
Totally, yeah. They're kind of put on their heel sometimes when she comes in and goes, well, this seems obvious, but I'll try not to hurt your feelings with the way I communicate. And you're like, yeah, well, that is something to understand about yourself and to have the skills to help someone and not hurt them.
And even if you do hurt them, how to restore a relationship and grow it. It feels like when you're able to walk through conflict well, you usually end up on the other side stronger and more connected as a team than you ever were before.
And you have to love feedback. You know, you just have to love it, which is, it's so hard to get to that spot where you're like, oh, please tell me the truth. Maybe this may hurt. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Go ahead, friend. Nail me. But deceitful are the kisses of an enemy is what you often get. What you often get is somebody just trying to avoid conflict. And so she is welcoming feedback. She's creating she's an expert in self-awareness, not only for herself, but helping other people. These are all just super brilliant tactics to use to be your best self, to be your most helpful self, to make the best contribution wherever you go. And people like Julie are amazing.
Changing the world. People like
Yeah,
Julie.
they're impressive.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. I think the stewardship of the tools and resources, probably, I would assume, I haven't been around Julie in a few years. She doesn't live around us anymore. But her ability to bring those into her friendship relationships and to steward that foundation and to bring them into her work environment is when she speaks here. And just every project I've ever worked with her on, it's obvious that it's something that is building in her skill set. So that
Yeah.
building foundations of friendship. That's what we love.
And we talk about the principles of being a powerful person. Well, you cannot have a culture of honor in a workplace or a family or even friendships if you're not practicing being a powerful person and welcoming other people being powerful.
Yeah.
And so that goes hand in hand, I think, in developing healthy friendships, becoming a healthy friend, and attracting a healthy person is that you know how to both be powerful and to invite powerful.
I think that's a key thing right there is making space for someone else to be powerful around you, because that quickly leads to usually feedback.
Yeah.
Which is that scary word, that scary F word that we don't like.
Yep, there's the F word.
So,
But it is so smart to get good at welcoming feedback from the people around. How are you experiencing me? How does it feel to be on my team? How does it feel to work together? How did that last conversation feel? How did you experience me in that last conversation? And then just put your seatbelt on and just brace yourself. Put your big boy pants on, because classically, people experiencing you different than you thought until you get better and better at this. So that's the hard part. It's like learning to play the piano, I think.
which I'm playing with right now.
Yeah, it's just so humiliating and so slow, and
Does
I
that
know
sound like a song at all?
Yeah,
Anybody?
and
Could you guess it?
why is this going so slow? And if you stay with it, well, you just got to feel like a genius.
Yeah. Well, good job, Julie. I think it's love seeing masters come and emerge of the KYLO world, and she really is changing the world. She's going into all different businesses and every spot she's been in, there's obviously a trail of Julie in a good way.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
I mean, she's had her bumps. She's totally had her bumps. As anybody that's any high D I know has had their bumps. They got a set of knots right here in their forehead. Oh, that one. One time but she's learning and growing and changing, and that's the fun part.
Yeah, doing a great job. We're proud of you, Julie.
Yes.
Keep it up.
Yes.
We love you.
So glad you sent in that testimony.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And remember that whole healthy families and singles and people dating and engaged can save the world.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us on The KYLO Show.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to join us next week when Danny and Brittany talk about how to figure out the vision and mission for your life. Never miss an episode of The KYLO Show by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch us on the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel. The KYLO Show is produced by Ali Armerding, co-produced by Ashley Beck, Anna Hill, Leah Alexander, and Sherry Silk, sound engineer and edited by Taylor Silk, and show promoter Christian Zamora. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.